Thinking of starting another planner, but not too sure if it's worth it? Let's have a look at some considerations. Our first consideration is going to be, why do you want another planner? There are a multitude of possible reasons, but being honest with this step is going to help us in 1, seeing if we actually need a new planner, and 2, if we do, what type of planner might we need? So, why do you actually want another planner? What do you want it for? Having a look at a couple of reasons. Maybe you wear a lot of hats and find keeping track or on top of them all to be difficult when the information is all in one place. Similar to this, maybe you just have a lot going on in your current planner, making it hard to find information when you need it, or maybe you're just using up a lot of space in your planner, given the amount you want to record. Possibly, your current planner doesn't have an adequate way of organizing particular information. So for example, maybe that information would be better suited in a different layout or format, or maybe you want to include more information about particular things that require some space that your current planner isn't accommodating. Maybe you want a planner for a particular purpose that is underserved in your current planner. For instance, memory keeping, reading journal type content, budget planning, etc. Or you could have information that you're going to want to keep or reference for longer than the life of your current planner, so putting it somewhere else makes sense. Is it that you want to keep information separate from other information? For instance, sensitive work information that if you leave your place of employment would have to be turned over, or wanting information to be shared with someone but not other information. Maybe you want to share particular information with that person without sharing everything. Is it possibly that you're bored of your current planner? There's no shame in this, I completely understand, but maybe instead of getting a new planner, we just need to figure out ways to spice up your current one. Or possibly you might just want a new planner to satisfy a craving for newness or acquiring new things. Be honest when identifying your why. This isn't an opportunity to judge ourselves here. This is just going to allow us to get clear on our reasoning before we start setting up a new planner. The main thing we want to recognize here is what need will that new planner be fulfilling, and do we actually need a new planner to do that? Once we have our whys though, then it's time to start considering some of the pros and cons to starting a new planner. What are the reasons that adding a new planner to your lineup are beneficial, and what are some of the negatives that might be worthwhile paying attention to? Let's start with the positives. One of the biggest benefits, I feel, is just getting clarity around where specific information is. If you're looking for money stuff, that's in the budget planner. If you're looking for work-related tasks and events, they're in your work planner. Having that type of information sectioned off into its own planner can just help when it comes to finding that information again. A common reason that people get a new planner is to have a home or personal planner and a work planner. This could be useful if you find separating work life from home life to be challenging. That's me. You can also take this a step further and have a different planner for different physical spaces. So for instance, a planner that stays at home and a planner that stays at work. Then you'd have less to tote around when you commute to different places, which could also be a bonus. If on the off chance you lose one of your planners, and I certainly hope that you don't, but if you did, this means that you wouldn't lose everything. Having all of the things in one place could be risky for if that planner goes missing, or gets damaged in a bad way. Again, hoping that doesn't happen. Another benefit from having separate planners is that it can help you to focus on specific things or categories at any given time. If you're the type of person who is likely to get easily distracted by having a whole bunch of information in the one place, having a separate planner for certain groups of information may be useful in helping you focus on one thing at once. These points are probably making the new planner seem mighty tempting, but we do also have to consider the negatives. While having information split up into specific places can be helpful, having multiple planners may also increase the decision fatigue surrounding what information gets put where. Each time you go to add something to your planners, you have to consider which planner does this actually belong in. If your planners have too similar a function, you might actually end up doubling up on information, which increases the time needed for updating your planners. Or, again, if the function is too similar, you might just not know where specific information is. Meaning when you go back to reference it, you end up spending a whole bunch of time flicking through multiple planners trying to find it. We have the time factor to consider. How much time will be needed to work on this new planner on top of the ones you already have? Can you accommodate for that? There's also a cost factor to think about. Is the new planner sensibly within your budget? Or more so, would the benefit of having this planner be worth the cost you're putting towards it? Space is also a factor worth considering. Do you have enough real estate to accommodate this new planner into your regular planning space? Out of sight typically means out of mind, so if you don't have the planner readily available to work on, you may not end up using it, and then you've effectively wasted the resource. If you're wanting to set up a new planner in a way that pulls information out of your current one, what will actually be left over? I found this to be an issue when I started a dedicated teacher planner because it meant the only things that were left in my everyday journal were chores, which was not super inspiring and didn't really make me want to use that planner anymore. While there can be a benefit to compartmentalization with your planner lineup, if you compartmentalize things too much, it's really hard to get a good overview of everything going on. This could lead to overbooking your time or overestimating what you can get done in different life areas. This isn't an exhaustive list, but once you've considered the pros and cons of starting a new planner, and if you've come to the conclusion that you still want to have one, then awesome, let's get into it. But I do want to give you guys some tips about starting a new planner, or adding a new planner to your lineup. First and foremost, is a new planner the best way forward here? Considering that in two parts and starting with new, does this actually need to be in a new, fully separate planner? Or could you do this in your current one in some way? One of the ways that I like to do this is by turning to the back of my journal and putting things in there. This still allows the information to be in its own designated section, but it's quite good for information that doesn't necessarily need the amount of space that a new planner offers. Something that some people like to do with their planners is, rather than having a separate new one, they set up what's called a Franken planner. So taking parts of multiple planners and combining them into one. This mainly works for planners that are deconstructible already, so ones that are in disc or ring systems, but this means that you have all of the stuff in one planner with multiple sections. The second part of this is, does it have to be a planner? Back when I started journaling, I tried to set up a new travel planner for myself, only to realize that that's not the format that I wanted to record that information in. I'd much rather just take pictures and do vlogs to document the experience, and the 1 or 2 pages of planning could stay in my regular journal. Considering what format you want to hold this information in can also be of benefit, but sometimes you do have to try something to determine whether it's right for you. Our next tip is that I encourage you to make the need each planner fulfills specific and significantly different to avoid the decision fatigue about what goes where, and also to cut down on the time spent thinking about where information is when you go back to look for it later. Our next tip is that before you commit to setting yourself up a new planner, do consider whether you will actually be able to keep up with it. Time is something that a lot of us don't feel we have enough of, so if you're setting up a new one, it's good to think about whether you need to schedule time to work on each planner. It doesn't have to be daily, but keeping in mind when you want to check in with your planners can be really useful. Whatever you decide to go with, I support you, but I do encourage you to think about the things we've discussed today. If you do have a planner or notebook that you weren't too sure what to do with though, I do have a video of over 100 ways that you could use it. Or if you wanted to see some of the ways that I've used my planners previously, I've got a playlist for that as well. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye!